Game & Watch Gallery for the Nintendo Game Boy. This is a collection of the old Game & Watch handheld systems that Nintendo was famous for doing in the early 1980s. They were kind of the precursor to portable gaming, basically the precursor to the Game Boy, and then eventually the Game Boy Advance, and then the Nintendo DS, and so on. There's a few of these on the Nintendo Game Boy, a few volumes. This is the first one. Features, I think, 4 of the original Game & Watch games, ported over to make them look pretty much exactly like they looked on the little handheld systems that they were originally built on. And then there's also like an updated kind of remix version of each of those games as well, which is kind of neat. Also, this one, as you can see, it has that Super Game Boy logo on it. This is one of the Game Boy games that has some added functionality if you use it in a Super Game Boy. Unfortunately, I don't have one right now. Mine quit working, and I haven't been able to get it to continue working, so I'm on the hunt for one again. But if you have a Super Game Boy, when it has this functionality, I believe it has some predefined color sets. Also, I think some borders to kind of make it look more like a modern game. But all in all, it's a pretty neat collection. Let's go ahead and pop it into the Game Boy and take a look at some of the gameplay. Alright, so I have my original childhood Game Boy here. You'll notice, like I said, some of the lines are out in the screen, but it's still playable. I'm planning on getting that fixed soon. Here we have Game & Watch Gallery. So we can push A or start. That's kind of cool. So yeah, it's 4 games: Manhole, Fire, Octopus, and Oil Panic. And each of these features the original game the way it would have been on the little handheld system, and also a remix version. So let's take a look at Manhole first. And this is nice. It gives you little instructions as to how to play the game. The cross pad, this here. The first time these were used were actually on Game & Watch systems, so it's kind of appropriate. Then you have up here you can pick Modern or Classic, which Classic is the original, Modern is kind of the remixed version, and there's an easy and hard setting for each of those. Let's do Classic, and we'll do the hard setting. Okay, so here we go. So the idea is you got to keep the little guy from falling in by moving these manhole covers in place to protect him from falling. The sound is even emulated pretty well, the beeping that the little Game & Watch system would have had. And the reason they were called Game & Watch systems is they actually had a clock on them as well, and they could be used for that, used as a watch, and they usually had an alarm setting, so you could set an alarm. So I guess the idea being a lot of Japanese businessmen traveled, so it gave them an alarm they could take with them when they traveled, but also gave them something fun to do, basically, when they had a few idle minutes, a little electronic game to play. And at the time, these were kind of the height of technology. So as you can see, you get a point for each time the little guy steps on your thing, and as the game goes, it kind of speeds up the number that are coming across and how quickly they're going. So then let's let this guy fall. So these were just all on LCD screens. There wasn't really any animation. That's why you see them kind of one frame at a time, because that's how it was on the old handheld LCD systems. Oh, I dropped another one. So if you get sick of playing it, you can push start, and that'll bring up a continue or exit. We'll do exit. Let's take a look at the modern version. So the modern versions usually incorporate... Oh, I heard he let a toad fall. They usually incorporate, Nintendo first-party characters. In this case, you've got Yoshi and a little toad skipping across, and every time they step on those, they fall down, so you have to use Yoshi's tongue to pick them back up before the... Uh-oh. So it's basically the same game, but moves a little bit quicker, and they've added some animation and modern for the time sound effects. Oh no! Okay, let's take a look at another game. Exit. We'll hit B to go back. Let's take a look at Fire. Okay, so we'll take a look at the classic version first. So in this game, you gotta keep the guy up in the air, basically. Don't let him hit the ground and bounce him all the way over to the ambulance, because apparently this is the way to do this. And just like the other game, you get a point for each time you catch the little guy, or each time the little guy bounces off your gurney there. And then, like, same principle as the game goes on, it's going to get more and more difficult. The nice thing is this is completely playable with one hand, because you only need the directional pad to play this. Let's take a look at the modern version. Put it on hard so it moves quicker. So same principle, just Nintendo character, actual recognizable Nintendo characters now. Nintendo chiptunes added and some animation added. But basically the same game, just moves a little bit faster. We'll go ahead and take a look at the next two games on the Game Boy Advance SP so we can see how that looks on that system, because I have a feeling a lot of you are going to be playing your Game Boy games on Game Boy Advance SPs just because they're backlit. Oh, what's the star do? Okay. Anyways, we'll be right back. Okay, so here we have the Game Boy Advance SP. Let's fire it up. Ah, nice backlit screen. Let's push it in. Alright, so let's take a look at Octopus. That's kind of one of the more famous Game & Watch games. We'll do classic on the hard setting. So the idea is to get your little diver over to the treasure chest and back up with the treasure without the... see, the octopus tentacle got me. Oh no. So you get the idea, kind of run across without touching the octopus tentacles, grab out of the treasure chest and run back up to the ship. And each of your men are represented by the 3 divers up on the boat. So you can see there's only one left because I'm down to my last guy already. Let's see if we can get over there one more time. Oh, no, he got me. Oh, the hard setting's pretty hard. Let's take a look at the remixed version of it. Oh, good to know. Alright, we'll take a look at modern. So here it's a little bit clearer how far the tentacles can go. And this time it's Mario running down and grabbing the treasure. Greedy bastard, always needing gold coins for some reason. Now he's got to steal them from this poor octopus. Ah, shit. I like the aneurysm vein up there on the octopus's head. That's pretty funny. Okay, let's take a look at the next game. Oil Panic. I don't know if I've actually played this one, so this should be interesting. Let's do it on easy. Oh, this is one of the dual screen. So I'm catching the oil drips up on the top. Oops. Well, it turns out I'm terrible at this. So I think my bucket's full. Oh, I see, and then I run down and give it to that guy. Okay. So this would have been originally 2 screens in a plastic housing. Let's see what the modern variant looks like. This time it's... It looks like I've got 2 jars. can feed it. So I'm feeding oil to Yoshi, apparently. Let's take it over here. This is actually easier, the modern version of this. It's easier to see what's going on the screen. Music's kind of catchy, too. You see the little lines in each of the buckets indicating how full they are. Let's get them both full. And then we can go dump this to Yoshi over here. Oh no! Alright. So, Game & Watch Gallery for the Nintendo Game Boy. I would recommend getting this, especially if you're a fan of the Game & Watch games. Reason being, this can be had for under $10. I think I picked this up at Goodwill for $5. And I see them around a lot, and there's a few volumes of these. I know there's at least 3 because I have this one and I have the third one, so there's got to be a middle one. And I got that one for a few dollars as well. And I see the first one and the third one quite a bit, quite frequently. I don't pick them up anymore because I don't need any more copies of them. And I don't know anybody who does need any copies of them. But if you don't have a copy of them, you should definitely be able to find it. Also, you know, $5-6 for this. Some Game & Watch systems, some of those Game & Watch systems, the actual old systems, can go for $50 to $60, $75, $100 sometimes, even more. I know some of them are worth hundreds of dollars. I don't think any of the ones on this compilation are, but they're not cheap. So this is definitely a good alternative, I think, to actually owning the other systems, because you have the original game, and it plays pretty much just like the original game did. And then you also have the neat little remix versions, which in some cases I think are even more fun to play than the original versions. And they're great time wasters. It's definitely a game that you can pull out and play it for 10-15 minutes, on the bus or something like that, or on a quick car trip. Pull it out, play it for 10-15 minutes, and then you're there, and you're not having to worry about saving your game or anything like that. It's just quick, simple arcade fun.